Hey guys, welcome back to Jessin Reads Romance. I'm Jessin and today is the start of a new reading vlog. I'm so excited to start my first reading vlog in the longest time. And it's going to be a little bit different because now that I am in school, I do have a lot less time to do dedicated reading vlogs. Normally I'd start at the beginning of the week and then by the end of the week I'd have all the footage that I wanted to include, and then so it's basically a week-long reading vlog. I don't know if I'm going to have time to actually complete week-long reading vlogs. So what I'm going to do going forward is basically do the reading vlogs that I want to do, the theme vlogs, and not set a time limit on myself. And when I have the footage, I have the footage and I'll post it, because I know that I'm not going to be posting videos as regularly as I used to do, but I still want to do these types of videos. I'm just not going to put pressure on myself. So the first one that I wanted to do was a Rockstar Romance one. And I actually filmed this intro earlier today when I was in the car, but I had shaky cam, so I'm redoing all of this. I already said this, but it's fine. I didn't want you guys to have to suffer through that shaky cam. Whenever I looked at the footage, my arm was all over the place. I need to find a better way to film while I'm in the car because it ain't it, because my camera's heavy. So why Rockstar Romance? Well, I'll tell you. I, if you did not know, am a huge rock fan. I love 90s rock, grunge, that's totally my jam. I am kind of a moody listener, so I'll listen to rock more often whenever it's fall season, whenever I'm feeling cozy, it's dark and gloomy outside. My music kind of reflects my mood that way. And I also like 2000s rock, it still gets me. I love 2000s rock, and when I'm in the mood for it, I'll listen to something heavier. I do have my Nirvana tea today, my pink Nirvana tea. I love Nirvana. And the thing about Rockstar Romance is, I think it's kind of similar to the way that I feel about MC romances. Tattooed hot bikers should be my catnip, and why do I not like MC romances? I feel like there's just a lot of cliche plot points, and the same goes for Rockstar Romance. Why don't I read more Rockstar romances? And I think Rockstar and also Hollywood, anything to do with celebrity, go hand in hand because they have the same cliche plot lines and conflicts. Always has to do with the paparazzi messing with their relationship, because most often when you have a Rockstar romance or a Hollywood romance or whatever, there is a disparity between the love interests. So the rock star is obviously rich, famous, they have to deal with all kinds of stuff, and the love interest is usually poor or blue-collar working regular Joe who doesn't have to deal with all the stuff that the rock star has to deal with. And guess what? That becomes a point of conflict. Also, Rockstar romances can be involved with drugs a lot of time. Their bandmates could be really rowdy and create conflict with the love interests. The tabloids. The tabloids are always, the tabloids. Of course there's going to be a conflict where the hero is seen out with a beautiful model or his ex-girlfriend or whatever, and the love interest is going to believe it. So I'm just I get frustrated. I'm I want a different kind of story. That's why I like Carrie and Cole's Ashes and Embers series, because I do feel it's not focused on the lifestyle. Some of the conflicts deal with that, but I feel there's other stuff going on in their lives. There's other conflicts going on in their lives, and I appreciated that so much. If we can get away from the Hollywood scene, get away from the rock star lifestyle scene, and tell a really good story, that's what I want for Rockstar romances. So I decided that I needed to dive into the genre that I should love and I just haven't had the best of luck with, and try out some new Rockstar romances. So I last night went go look in Goodreads list to see what Rockstar romances are available. It's not the most popular subgenre for people to write in, and I'm sure that there's 1,000 more that I missed. And if you know any, I want you to leave them down in the comments if it's something that you think I would like. So I had a lot of options. I wrote down about 12 that look interesting to me, and I settled on 6 because I either had the audio on Anyplay. Anyplay had a lot of these titles, which I was so excited about. Anyplay is the best. It is the best audio subscription that I have had. I still have Audible and I have Anyplay, and that's all I use unless I can find it with my library. That's the only subscriptions for audio that I have. Anyplay is also really good about getting the new releases in audio almost right away. So anyway, you should check it out if you've not done Anyplay yet. And if I don't have it on Anyplay, then it's going to be in Kindle Unlimited. So the first one that I'm picking is Groupie by C.M. Stunick. I've never read anything by C.M. Stunick before. This was recommended to me when I was doing my reverse harem vlogs, and also when I was doing Have I Read It While I Read It. So it sounds like the heroine who's down on her luck goes to a rock concert she might have found found the ticket crumpled somewhere. Like she didn't actually buy the ticket or anything. Oh, her name's Lilith. So the heroine Lilith has a chance encounter with 5 rock stars. So it's a 6-person reverse harem. And it does say at the end that the men are not scared of each other's bodies. So I'm not exactly sure if they're in like full-on relationship with each other. I don't know if one of the men is just bi-curious or full-on bisexual, so we'll see, but I'm excited. I have been enjoying some reverse harem romances. Next I have Idol by Kristen Callahan, and some of you may be saying, oh my god, have you not read this series before? No, I have not. I, for some reason, did not want to pick up Idol for the longest time, but I know it's a super popular Rockstar romance. I feel like this is probably the series that I see the most recommended that I have not already read before, but it does sound like opposites attract. Libby is a recluse and a hermit, and Killian is drunk and sprawled out on her lawn. I don't know how that came about, but they have a romance, so we'll see how that one plays out. I do like opposites attract romances, so it sounds like I'll like it. The next one is Riffs and Refrains by Devney Perry. A while back when this series, Hush Note series, came out, each book is written by a different author. I read the first one, Lies and Lullabies by Serena Bowen. I didn't really enjoy that one. It was a little bit too frustrating for me, like the push and pull between the characters. But the next one, Riffs and Refrains, is about the female drummer, and I'm really excited about that one. It is a second chance romance with her high school sweetheart. She returns to her hometown. That's the one that I've already started this morning, and I am enjoying the audio for that one. I'll talk about that in a minute. And since I only have one book left in the series to read, I am going to continue and read Muses and Melodies by Rebecca Yarros. This will be the first book by Rebecca Yarros that I have read. She's been recommended to me a couple of times, so I decided why not. I have it on Anyplay. I'm gonna listen to that one. It's about the guitarist. He's the one that's been struggling with like drugs, and his friends are worried about him, his bandmates are worried about him, and I'm excited to learn more about Nixon and what his issues are because they really aren't touched on. It's saved for Rebecca Yarros to flesh out his backstory and what's going on with him, so I'm excited about that. Then I really wanted to include a book that didn't have a lot of reviews on Goodreads, and I decided on Taut Strings by Gabrielle Sands. I really love the cover for this one, and it's a girl, so I'm assuming that this is going to be a female rock star. It was released earlier this year. Sounds like she's gone through a lot. She was orphaned at 19, she's rejected by Juilliard, and she needs to put her little sister through college. Ooh, so the rock band Bleeding Moonlight, which I always laugh at the band names, I really do. It's not to be mean, but some of the band names are very interesting. So Bleeding Moonlight is from her hometown, and apparently they return to bury a bandmate. So tragedy. This sounds like it might be quite angsty, but they're gonna stay to write their new album, and they want her to be the temporary replacement. She has 4 weeks to earn money that she desperately needs, so I'm really excited about this one. I like to find those more obscure romances, and I'm happy to include this one on the list, and it's on KU, so I'll be reading that one physically. And the last one is Just an Illusion by D. Kelly, and this is a romance between a best-selling author, Amelia Grayson, and she's grown up in the music industry, so she's not fazed by fame or celebrities, which I like that, if they're not like surprised about the antics. She attends a rock concert, and they are actually fans of her work, and they want her to write their farewell story. Now, I don't know if this is a love triangle between all the bandmates and the heroine, or if they all end up together. I'm not sure. It's probably a love triangle, or whatever you call when there's 3 guys and 1 girl and she has to choose. So I'm tentatively excited about this one. I don't normally love like love triangles, but I don't want to count it out. I'm open to trying new things. And that one is also on Anyplay. I think the only one that I'm not listening to on Anyplay might be Taut Strings. Groupie is also on KU, but I might listen to the audio. It just depends if I like the audio or not. So let's talk about Riffs and Refrains, because I did start that one this morning. Quinn is the female drummer of the band, and she is known as kind of like the bitch because she has to be that way. People will push her more than they'll push the guys, Jonah and Nixon. The opening scene is actually a crew member who has been in her dressing room, and he's holding her drumsticks, and she's just like, what are you doing? This is my private space, and how dare you invade my private space? And they call her a bitch because they call her demanding and unfriendly and unapproachable and stuff, but they push her more. She does get a call earlier that week that her nan has passed away. So this is her grandmother. She was very close to her. They talked every single Monday, but they hadn't seen each other for the past 9 years, I believe. And so she's feeling very guilty about that. So there's something at home in Bozeman, Montana that she's running away from. Something happened to make her leave at 18 and never turn back. She's never been back home. She's only talked really consistently to her grandmother and none of the rest of her family. This is a second chance romance with her high school sweetheart, Graham, and when she returns, it's quite awkward. And Graham actually shows up at the airport to pick her up, and he is not actually happy with the way that she has abandoned her family. He's very close. His mother is like best friends with her mother. They grew up together. They were neighbors, and he is not only hurt by Quinn leaving him, but also, as he sees it, abandoning her family. There's more to the story, and I'm curious to see what exactly happened to make her so upset with her family that she never wanted to go back and visit them at all. But it's so awkward whenever she gets to her house. At first, she wants to rent a car, and she's planning on staying at a hotel. She wasn't even going to stay with her family. And Graham basically tells her, no, you're going to see your family. I'm bringing you to your family. Your mom asked me to pick you up. There's no way that you're going to hide at your hotel room and have a place to escape and avoid talking to your family. Like, enough's enough. It's been 9 years. So he kind of like forces her hand, and her siblings have kids. Her brother has been married for the past 7 years. She did not go to the wedding because I think that they eloped. But she has a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old niece and nephew, and she's never met them before. Her sister Brooke is absolutely livid, does not want to talk to her, and she's just had a baby, and she's just like, absolutely not, you will not hold my kid. So like, it is so awkward. I feel so bad for Quinn, but I'm very curious to know, like, what exactly was it? Like, what happened? Was it something between her and Graham? Was it something with her family? Like, what happened to make her not want to even come back and visit at all for holidays or anything? Because she is based in Seattle. When she's not on tour, she has a penthouse in Seattle. That's where the band resides. But yeah, I'm curious. And I like Quinn's character. I can totally empathize with her standoffish nature. And I feel for her. I feel for her, and she's going through a rough time because of her nan, and she's feeling guilty that she couldn't say goodbye to her in person because her nan wasn't sick. She just passed away in her sleep. And so it was with no warning, really. And so the whole family is grieving. Oh, I do have to mention, I do suspect that it's something to do with her parents because her father is a pastor. He's working on the service for his mother who just passed away. And so I'm wondering if it has to do with maybe her family didn't want her to play rock music or something like that, kind of like a Footloose situation. That's my theory anyway. We'll see how that plays out. I'm very excited to be back in the series, and I really like Devney Perry's writing style, so it's going well so far. I really like the narrator as well. I'll keep you updated the more I get into this book. All right, so reading update, I actually finished the book. Guys, the audio went by so fast. I listened to it on AnyPlay at 1.75 speed, and I think the entire audiobook was maybe like 4.5 hours at that speed. It's the highest speed that you can go on AnyPlay. It's not like Audible where you can go like crazy amounts of time through time speed, but 1.75 speed was perfect for me anyway, and I finished it so fast. So I'm basically gonna just tell you what I thought about the book. I really did enjoy Riffs and Refrains. I'm gonna give the book 4.5 stars. I really like the conflict, Quinn and her family, and all the drama that went down whenever she was 18. I thought it was very realistic. Also, the things that kept them all back from taking that step forward to reestablish like communication. It was so much easier with her nan, her grandmother, but it was harder for the rest of the family. And then with Graham finding out exactly what went down with them, because they were high school sweethearts and they were both very into music. So Graham's very musical as well. He likes to play guitar, he likes to sing, and Graham's actually a single dad, and I love single dads. And his son Colin is obsessed with Quinn's band. He's so excited when Quinn shows up because he spends a lot of time with Quinn's family. Actually, Quinn's mom babysits the kids when the parents have other stuff to do like work or whatever else that they're doing. So Quinn's mom's almost like a second grandmother to Colin, Graham's son. Colin was actually a good icebreaker because he was super excited about her music and he wanted to talk about it, and also just very excited just to be with her, wanting her to give him some pointers and stuff. And I think that Colin was definitely integral to the relationship with Graham and Quinn because they might never have gotten to really open up to each other if Colin wasn't there to break the ice. And so I really enjoyed his characters, and I also really enjoy when kids are actually important to the story. If you're gonna put them in there, then make them important to the story. I don't want them to just be like seen, not heard, and like come in once for tea time, like in historical romances. Not historical romances, like period piece drama and stuff like that. Downton Abbey, you know what I'm saying? Anyway. So I did really enjoy it, and a factor was definitely that it all happened basically in Montana. Of course, Graham was a little bit jealous when he was thinking about all the tabloid reports that Quinn was possibly with her bandmates and stuff like that, so he was feeling a little bit jealous about that. That's one of the reasons why I docked half a star, because I felt like sometimes Graham could really lash out, and some of the things that he said was very unfair, and because he was super jealous about stuff. And I was like, that was a little bit too far, buddy. You need to take it back. And in a lot of those instances, I was not super annoyed because Graham is almost always quick to say, I shouldn't have said that. That was, you know, that was really wrong of me. I didn't really mean it how it sounded, and I'm just really frustrated and stuff. So it's not like he like kept holding on to that feeling, and he apologized to Quinn pretty quickly, so I was okay with kind of letting it go. I would rather when the hero or the heroine, one of them, whoever's going off, be quick to kind of apologize and be like, look, that was an outburst and I didn't mean it that way, and let me try to explain, and the other character actually lets them explain. I like when a character says let me explain and then goes on to actually explain and not get cut off. Anyway, it's just one of my pet peeves. So I think that this is a great start to the vlog. I think that this was a strong contender. I'm very happy that I like this book so much, and I will definitely be reading Muses and Melodies because Nixon does show up a lot in this book. Of course, Jonas is busy with his wife and child, so he really wasn't as prominent as Quinn was dealing with her problems. And like Quinn and Nixon really work together with a certain aspect of the music because Jonas is more of a lyric writer, and Nixon and Quinn are more of like the melodies. They come up with the melodies to go along with Jonas's lyrics. I also really like the role that Graham plays when it comes to Quinn's role in the band. So she's strictly drummer and she helps come up with the melodies, but not only does she like to come up with the melodies, she sings and she has original ideas for songs as well, and Graham kind of encourages her to pursue that as well. So I just really liked how Graham inserted himself into that aspect of her life. But we know Nixon is struggling. Quinn's always commenting on he's spiraling, what is he doing, and nobody really knows what's going on with him. So I'm very, very interested. I don't know if I'll jump into Muses and Melodies right away. I might want to try something else, maybe Groupie. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling Groupie. I might do Groupie next. We'll see how I feel tomorrow, what audiobook I want to start. I'm just going to follow my mood and see which book tempts me when I start a new audiobook tomorrow. Strong start to the vlog. I'm loving it. So it has been a while since I've filmed for this vlog. It's been a week, an entire week, since I updated you guys on Riffs and Refrains. I was going to go into Muses and Melodies, which is the next book in the series, but I started the audiobook for that and realized that the narrator for that one was a narrator that I recently discovered that I don't particularly care for. So I abandoned that one. I started up a couple of the other Rockstar audiobooks and I just felt like I wasn't in the mood for any of them. So I just kind of read what I wanted to read at the time. And then we got hit with the news that a hurricane was coming towards Louisiana. So basically this whole past weekend, I didn't really get any reading done. And luckily for us, the hurricane did move a little bit east. So original trajectory had it heading towards where I live. And the devastation in Southeast Louisiana is just awful. And Lake Charles, which was hit by almost a Category 5 hurricane last year, is still recovering. Like the recovery process after a huge hurricane hits like that in the coastal regional areas. So not New Orleans. New Orleans was definitely impacted by this hurricane, but I think that the news totally forgets about all of the other cities that are even closer to the Gulf of Mexico that got absolutely destroyed and pummeled, and people have no homes now. So that was all depressing and I didn't get a lot of reading done. But today I'm like, okay, we gotta jump back in. So I decided to pick up Taut Strings by Gabrielle Sands, and this one I don't have the audio for it, so I'm reading it from KU. And I started it and I'm really liking it so far. I like the premise of it, especially the establishment of the heroine. So this is a reverse harem romance, which I didn't know when I originally picked it. I thought it was just female rock star, possibly love triangle situation, but this is a reverse harem situation, which I'm not mad at because I like reverse harems. The heroine, Adeline, is actually an orphan and she is taking care of her younger sister. So Adeline is only 23 maybe, or 24, and her sister had just graduated from high school, and this is the summer months, and so she's preparing to go off to college. Adeline is struggling to figure out how she's going to afford her college tuition, her sister's college tuition. Their parents did have life insurance, but that's running out, and so she really needs to have like a good job. She works at a bar and she also moonlights with a local band, and they just kind of play for fun. She's always been musical. Her parents have encouraged her love of music and guitar playing. When she was younger, she auditioned for Juilliard and they turned her down. So that's really affected her self-esteem. And I guess how she views herself as a musician, she thinks that she's not good enough to play more than locally, but she still has music in her blood, so she can't stop. So even though their band is kind of going in different directions at the time, her bandmate Liam recently married, his wife is pregnant now, their drummer is actually going off to college with her younger sister, so like maybe her band is about to break up and she needs to find like a better job to support her younger sister. So there's so much pressure on such a young person, and I really feel for Adeline. Her younger sister actually informs her that a band that she used to really love when she was in high school is actually in town, because this is their hometown, and they returned because their guitarist and also lyricist has recently passed away, and so they're in town, and one of her friends like saw them at a restaurant, one of her little sister's friends, and took a picture of him. That all brings it back for Adeline. Like, this was a time whenever music was like absolutely her life, and she decides that she wants to add one of their old songs that she super loves to their set tonight, because they're gonna play at this local venue. And they do a lot of cover songs, and sometimes she adds in some songs that she wrote. So of course, while they're at the venue and they're playing their set, they go through the first half, they take a break, and then they're informed that Bleeding Moon, the band, is here at the venue. This is somewhere that they had played locally as well. The band has been knowing each other for a very long time. It's been years, but obviously they're going through a rough time because of the death of their bandmate, Charlie, who did not grow up with them. They met him whenever they were in like LA and stuff. So Adeline has a decision to make. Is she going to still play the song, their cover song, while they're in the building? And it's like, oh, and so she decides to do it, and they're totally impressed. They're totally enchanted with her. And this all feels really serendipitous because Charlie, before he died, Charlie and Abel had written their next album. And now that Charlie has passed away, they have all these songs written down, but they can't record it without Charlie. He was their guitarist. Some of the band members, so there's 4 band members, Silas, Ezra, Cole, and Abel. Abel has been the most affected by the death of Charlie. They were the ones who wrote the songs together, and nobody really saw his death coming. It was an OD. They didn't know that he was struggling, and so they're all feeling some sense of guilt, but they're trying to put the pieces back together so that they can record the album. The majority of the band wants to record the album in memory of Charlie. Abel is kind of resisting. He wants to be the one to interview the guitarist, and he's putting it off and he's stalling. So this is where the other bandmates step in and be like, we should approach her and ask her if she would be interested. I think she's really great. She just played our song, like she sounded amazing. And I think that this is just like, it fell in our lap for a reason. Abel is very resistant towards the idea. So they do approach Adeline backstage after, and so she gets to meet all the band, and the sparks are flying. When she meets them, they're very charming. Like, she's flattered, she's exhausted, but like I said, she has that like self-esteem issue where they're complimenting her, but she's just like, of course I'm nowhere on your level. You know, she's taking the compliment, but she's also like, I'm glad that they're saying that, but they're probably just being a little bit nice, until they ask, hey, we would love for you to actually come play with us and stuff. And so they come on real strong, and she asks to think about it because she's caught off guard. So far, the development of this relationship, I like the way it's going, because in a reverse harem, you have a bunch of different players in the mix. You have the heroine usually, and 3 or more men together. And how are you going to make this relationship believable? And I really feel like it feels so real. Adeline is being charmed by the more suave members of the band, like Ezra and Silas. They're very easy to talk to. Silas is starting to give her pointers on playing guitar while she's just like practicing with them, and then she gets to audition. And of course, Abel's being an asshole, and he was like, she's not good enough, because he's resisting the idea. And I love the fact that Adeline actually has this chance to stand up to Abel, because he's really hurting, he's lashing out, he just does not want to make this album at all, but she could have cowered, could have just like sulked away, but she didn't. She stood up for herself and like, okay, maybe I'm not what you want, but you're not allowed to talk to me like that. And it's awesome because the other band members are telling Abel off, being like, I can't believe that you said that to her. You're being an asshole. You need to apologize. I'm going to go see if we can smooth it over and she'll give us another shot. So it's not just kind of like insta love, insta attraction in the beginning. It's a real struggle for them to even be on like friendly terms and be comfortable. And she's comfortable with certain members of the band first, like Silas and Ezra, and even Cole to a certain extent, but Abel and Adeline have a lot of work to do before they're even near being in a relationship. Of course, she's very attractive, they're very attractive, all that's there in the mix, but emotionally, this story really builds on that emotion. And it has a lot to do with them as musicians and how they express their emotions through music. So they're all kind of bonding while they're practicing, and it's really great. They have lots of practice sessions, she's learning the songs, they're hanging out afterwards, they're so nice. They're including her sister, and this feels so amazing to her because she's felt so alone for so long, taking on the heavy burden of being like a parent and a sister to her younger sister, taking on financial burdens, and this is kind of a dream come true. She knows that it's not going to go anywhere, but here recording this album just being a temporary part of this camaraderie. So I like the dynamic so far. I really do love, especially Ezra. He's super charming. I love him a lot. I'm ready to delve under the skin of Abel though, because he's such the wounded hero and he lashes out. He has a lot of pain and rage to get out, and I'm just waiting for that dam to break. And I know it's going to be with Adeline. I know that she's going to get through to him where his bandmates can't get through to him, and it's going to be beautiful to watch. So I'm enjoying this book a lot so far. It's kind of a little bit harder for me to actually read like a Kindle book or a physical book right now. So I might start an audiobook soon, maybe Idle. So that might be something that tomorrow while I'm working, I will start in the morning and listen to Idle, and hopefully I can get that one actually finished. And then in the afternoon, pick up Taut Strings. So that's my plan for the rest of the week. So I'll update you guys whenever I get further into Taut Strings, and if I finish Idle tomorrow, you might just get a brief summary because I don't know if I'll be able to update during the day. We'll just see. All right guys, reading update. So I did not get a chance to update you guys while I was in the middle of reading Idle. Ollie, where are you going? Okay, he's gonna sit over here. So I binged the entire thing. Since I had it on audiobook, I just listened to it while I work. So by the time I was done with work, I was done with the book. This Rockstar Romance starts off with a bang because our heroine, Liberty, and her name is Liberty Bell, she walks out on her front lawn and she sees this scruffy looking dude passed out. And he's obviously extremely drunk. She sees his motorcycle like crashed into her fence, and she is like, absolutely not. What is going on? So she sprays him down with a hose. And so this is the first meeting of the hero and the heroine. The guy who's passed out on her lawn is Killian, and he is the lead singer for a band named Killjoy. He is feeling really rough because of something that just recently happened to do with the band, which we don't know yet. Like, we're still like discovering it in the beginning. We just know something's really affected him. The way that Liberty is yelling at him and berating him for driving drunk and telling him he could have killed somebody else and stuff, and he just has a flash of remorse and everything, but he's just like, you just don't know what you're talking about. And then he proceeds to throw up on her. So instead of just leaving this dude, calling the cops, Liberty decides that she's just going to take care of him. Oh, also of note, she does not recognize him from the band or anything. So she takes him inside, she strips him off, and she showers him. And he's like not even being cooperative because he's complaining because her shampoo smells girly and stuff, and like, stop tugging on my hair because it's knotted. In the morning, he's sober and he apologizes and thanks Libby for taking care of him, and she's a little bit surly, and he likes this. He likes this like irreverence towards him because he's so used to being around people who are very starstruck when they see him and just kind of like catering to him. So this experience is something new. And then they discover that he recently is moving into the house next door to her, so now he's going to be her neighbor. I really love the way that this book starts off because it really establishes a friendship between Liberty and Killian first before some of the drama starts to unfold. He spends 2 months getting to know Liberty. They're hanging out every single day. He finds out that her parents are musical. She has a guitar, she plays, she loves listening to old vinyl records and stuff. So they really do bond over music. And just like Liberty and hanging out with her gives Killian the sense of normalcy. Like one day he just decides to go help her weed the garden, and he just talks to her on a level that he hasn't talked to people in a long time. So it establishes a firm friendship with some attraction thrown in, and it gradually builds and builds and builds. And one day he's actually listening, and Liberty is playing her guitar and then singing, and he's never heard her sing before, and she sounds so beautiful. And he's thinking to himself, why is she hermiting herself away in this house? Like, she really never truly leaves this house. She's hiding away her talent. She's so talented. I want to shine a light on this. And so he walks in and he starts playing with her, and it's a really great moment. And their time's kind of winding down because his band is demanding that he come back. They need to start recording new stuff, practicing new stuff. They're going to be doing a tour soon, so they want to like get back on track, and they're calling him back. But he is lingering here because he does not want to leave Liberty Bell. And of course, they start off a physical relationship right before he leaves, and it just feels so natural. And like almost half the book is out of the spotlight and just them two, and I really love that type of format. But then, of course, when he leaves, he asks her to come with him. And not only just to come with him to be like a groupie, she's kind of offended by that, but he's like, no, I want you to play with us. Like, you are so talented. I really want you to come with us. When Liberty eventually does go on tour with them, it creates some tension with like the band, and also now she's in the public eye, and so people are going to speculate. Here we run into the classic Rockstar romance conflicts that I don't particularly love. It's a lot to do with media perception, trying to hide from the paparazzi because they're such a bitch with destroying relationships and stuff like that. The band's kind of giving them some trouble. But I will say that that was all expected. Liberty frustrated me a lot because her questioning if she deserved to be there and questioning her relationship with Killian, she really doesn't want the world to think that since she and Killian are sleeping together, that she got a job with the band just because they were sleeping together. She wants to, stand on her own merit. So they're hiding their relationship, even with the band. Of course, that's going to create drama and conflict. I don't like the way that it plays out because both of these characters are just not being open and honest with each other. They're just lying to each other. Each one feels extremely hurt by this like confrontation that happens toward the end, and it's so frustrating. Like the decision-making process behind why they made this choice and just dug deeper and deeper and deeper into the hole and set them back in their relationship like astronomically. It didn't make sense to me. And then there was another minor one on top of that as they're trying to make their way back to each other. I did not like those. Those kind of made the book end on a low note instead of a high note for me. So overall, I would say that Idol was a 4-star read for me. I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the development of their relationship, and I liked the effect that Liberty had on Killian, but the drama and the conflicts weren't for me. Liberty was frustrating at times. Also Killian, he had a moment where, some guy is making a pass at Liberty and he decides to like make it, they're in public, they're literally in a newsroom doing interviews after a show, and he decides to punch this guy out, making huge drama and speculation, like what's going on? Why is he reacting so crazily to this other guy approaching Liberty? And I'm just like, you're so dumb. They just make dumb decisions now that they're in the spotlight, and it's just frustrating for me to read about. So I enjoyed the book, not how it wrapped up, but it's still good. I mean, good writing. I was invested in the story for most of the time. So yeah. I got further into Taut Strings. I'm not quite finished. I'm hoping to finish tonight, and I'll give you an update once I do, but things are definitely progressing in Taut Strings now. They're confronting Adeline, maybe making her place in the band a little more permanent, but she's refusing, saying like, this life isn't for me. And I really love the way that the guys, each of them in turn, they have like a lots of one-on-one moments with her, and then as a group, as a whole, I like how they all interact, but you really get to know each of the guys when Adeline's one-on-one with them. And each of them are building her self-confidence one brick at a time, and she's giving them something else in return too, because they've all been sorrowful, thinking that the band's going to break up soon now that Charlie's dead. They've all been too tense even before Charlie's death, but now they have this hope because it's been so great playing with Adeline, recording these new songs. They sound freaking amazing. She's even gone to the studio late at night thinking that nobody was there because she's feeling inspired, so she's writing her own songs. She runs into Abel while they're recording in the studio, and they actually start writing together. She gives him feedback, and he opens up to her about what it was like writing with Charlie, and it wasn't always an easy experience. So Abel has his issues as well, and I love the way that he's opening up to her. So I'm very much enjoying these characters as couples, and I can see them getting closer and closer and closer to taking that next step. This is kind of a slow burn reverse harem romance, I would say, which I like because it makes it feel so real. But yeah, they're bouncing the idea off of Abel and kind of hinting to Adeline as well that maybe she could be like a permanent part of this band. And Abel, of course, is still resistant. He doesn't like the feelings that he's feeling when Adeline's around. He thinks he needs to suffer. But yeah, Ezra and Cole are for sure working on her with their sexual attraction. They're the ones that are kind of exploring the possibility that maybe they could all be with her. And they're all kind of feeling it out. Like, I see that she's attracted to me and I see that she's attracted to you. What would she think? And like, I like the way that this is done. So very much enjoying the book. Crossing my fingers that this is like a 5-star read because that would be great. I think that this is her debut novel as well, Gabrielle Sands. I think it's her debut novel and I love it. And I also love female like Rockstar Romances. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I will update you guys later on tonight whenever I hopefully finish that one. I'm thinking about starting the audio for Groupie tomorrow, which is another reverse harem romance. I'm really excited because I've seen this book a lot. So yeah, I think that that's the plan. We'll see where it goes. I'll update you guys. Good morning. Excuse the hair. I'm not very good at making messy buns, and I know that you guys see a lot of them in these vlogs because I often vlog from my bed like this, either at night or the morning. Very rarely the morning, but this is a morning clip. Good morning. I have my coffee here. I'm gonna take a sip of that now. So hot, but so good. Oh my god. Okay, anyway, so last night I finished Taut Strings, and I have to say, especially for a debut novel, this was really good, like very, very good. And this is a series on Goodreads, and I'm wondering if maybe, I haven't looked yet, but I'm wondering if maybe the drummer from Adeline's former band and her sister have a romance maybe. I don't know, but let's talk about Taut Strings. I think that this was a very well-written story, especially for a reverse harem romance. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people's complaint about reading reverse harems is that it's cheesy and it's corny and it's just all lust-based. There's no emotions between the characters, and people who don't like reverse harems, they don't get that satisfying these people are in love, my characters are in love with each other feeling, because it's kind of hard to give each character attention. Whereas in typical romance books, you only have 2 main characters, sometimes 3 if you're reading a menage, but with reverse harems, there's a lot of characters. There's 5 characters in this book. I think Gabrielle Sands did a wonderful job of that. I feel like I got to know every single member of Bleeding Moon. I think that their past was very well established. The band dynamic was very well established. Everything was so good. And their relationship with Adeline as a band together was really great. And then they had a lot of one-on-one time that really showcased that Adeline was falling for these people individually. And she was uncomfortable with being attracted to all of them. She was like, I feel like I'm going insane because all of these people are meeting my needs emotionally and I'm physically attracted to them, and they're gonna think I'm some sort of hoe because I want them all, and this is just insane and it's too much for her to deal with. But they really gentle her into it and ask if she's okay. They're very clear when their physical relationship starts that Adeline has to be the one to kind of make the first move. So I just loved it. I loved that dynamic. Now there were some frustrating parts. Adeline and Abel were the 2 characters who had kind of the most to overcome throughout the book, and of course they got a little bit frustrating in the 3rd act. They pushed each other away in equal measure. They're both being frustrating. As much as I loved the build up with their emotions, I wish we got a little bit more sexy times as well. Just a little bit, just like a little bit, one more flame. But it was good. It was there for sure. It was there. We get a threesome scene. We don't get like all of them scene, but we get a threesome scene, and it was hot. This is like nitpicky territory, but I'm gonna give this book 4.5 stars because she really impressed me. Gabrielle Sands really impressed me. I'm gonna go look up the 2nd book because I'm curious to see if it's Mason. I have absolutely no idea where my phone is. Okay, I'm back, and I found my phone next to my coffee pot. So the series that this is part of, and this was recently released. This was released this year in February. So Taut Strings is book 1 in the River Valley Rebels series. And then the 2nd book that was released in May is called Pretty Words. Okay, no, I was totally wrong, and I was kind of wondering about this while I was reading it. So Book 2, Pretty Words, is actually the story of Cole's sister. So in Taut Strings, Cole is struggling. He hasn't really talked to his sister that much because she is dating and engaged to another rock star who he has gone on tour with. His band had opened for Bleeding Moonlight, and he was rough around the edges, doing drugs, partying hard, and he does not agree with this guy being in a relationship with his sister. And that's one of the things he has to come to terms with in Taut Strings, and Adeline, you know, is there to listen to him and stuff. And anyway, this is actually his sister's story, which I was wondering, I wonder if Gabrielle Sands has another story, but then I realized that Taut Strings was her debut. So I hope that she writes some more. I did start following her on social media, but I hope that she writes a story for Adeline's younger sister Molly and Mason, because there seemed to be some sort of chemistry. At least Mason kind of seemed like he was attracted to Molly, and they were going off to college together. He is a rock star, so I don't know if she would continue with the River Valley Rebels, and they're all musicians. So yeah, the plan today is to start an audiobook, Muses and Melodies, because that is not the book that has the narrator that I don't like. I don't know why I thought that. It's actually just an illusion. So I'm going to start Muses and Melodies, close out Hush Note series. I'm really excited about reading Rebecca Yarros. Fingers crossed that I really like her, because then I can go back to my recommendations that everyone sends me about the books that I should read. Alright guys, that's it for this clip. I will update you later when I actually get some more books read, and I'm hoping to finish this vlog by the end of this weekend, because this coming weekend is Labor Day weekend, so I have an extra day, and I'm hoping that I can get all the books that I want to read read. Okay guys, a little reading update for you. I decided to start listening to Groupie, the audiobook. It's on AnyPlay, and I have to say that it's not going so well. I'm only on chapter 4, maybe. Let me check. Yeah, I'm only on chapter 4. But I have to say, the style of writing and the tone of the book is a little bit weird to me. And there's also some pet peeve things going on, so all of it combined together, it's not a great start to this book. And I'm contemplating already at 4 chapters in on DNFing this book. I feel so sad. I was so excited about reading Groupie. So the book starts off with Lilith, who is our heroine, and she's living in Arizona right now, planning on moving to New York because her father's ill and she wants to move in with him so that she can take care of him. He also remarried after the death of her mother, and I believe her sister got murdered, her brother or her sister, a sibling got murdered. There's all kinds of stuff in Lilith's past that's happened. Well, the day that she's leaving and she's expecting a call from her dad so that her stepmother can like Venmo her some cash because she needs some cash for her gas to make it cross country basically in her car. I'm not exactly sure what kind of job she had, because she moved out to Arizona with her boyfriend, who she recently had found out had been cheating on her with like a lot of people. He had come from a very rich family and stuff, and so she lived with him. So she's losing her apartment. She quit her job because she planned on moving to New York, and apparently she has just no money at all. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know why she has like zero money to be able to go cross country, because she did have a job that she recently quit. Anyway, I digress. There's just things that were running in through my mind. She gets a call from her stepmother that basically says, hey, your dad just passed away. So she hadn't even made it to New York. This is a blow. She doesn't even have a close relationship with her stepmother. Her stepmother never really made her feel welcome at all. And her stepmother just bluntly says it like that. And it sounds like her stepmother really doesn't want her to be there, like staying at her childhood home that now her stepmother is living in. But of course, Lilith wants to make it there for the funeral, and she needs to find a way. The stepmother's not going to give cash to her because she's saying she's going through a lot. So Lilith is like stuck there needing gas for her car, and this random man just kind of approaches and pays for gas, and he's beautiful. And she's struggling because she's observing what she's seeing, like this man paying for her gas, like she's lying that she can't find her card or whatever. And then internally she keeps repeating to herself, dad is dead, and like talking about all the drama that has gone on with that and how much she's alone in the world, reflecting on her relationship with her asshole boyfriend. And it's almost like on a loop. She has these concert tickets that her boyfriend bought for her before she found out that he was a sleazeball, and she decides to go to the concert venue and try to sell them so that she can have money. Again, I feel like the writing is so weird around here. Oh, and I forgot to say, after she meets the man who gave her money with the turquoise eyes, she There is a line in the book. Hold on, I actually downloaded this book on KU too. I want to read it because this is one of my pet peeves, and it's happened, I think, at the end of every single chapter, and I don't like it. Okay, so these are the last few lines of chapter 1. It says, whoever could have predicted he'd be one of the 5, one of my 5, Lily and her 5 rock stars. I'd give them my body, my heart, and my soul. I'd descend into their darkness as they embrace my own, and our connections would be pure poetry. In my own way, I would join their band, and sex, that would be my instrument. So it's telling me what's going to happen later, and I hate that. And it's not the first time that it happens in this book. Like I said, she goes to the stadium, she sells the tickets for $200 to this couple, and then she immediately starts having thoughts about her dad again, and she's just kind of like walking aimlessly. There's this British guy sitting on the hood of the car that says, "You found me," and she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Here you go," and hands her a lanyard with this VIP pass, and he just like leaves, like, "Bye," and she's like, "Okay," and puts it on her neck and decides to go to the concert. At first, she was just kind of like, she was going to go to the concert, then she felt guilty. She was like, my dad just died. I can't go to the concert. Let's sell the tickets instead. And then now she's like, let's go to the concert anyway. So it's weird. She's like reflecting on her dad, feeling sad about him, but then like walking into this concert when she'd already decided that she wasn't gonna go. Some roadie leads her to backstage, is talking about how like they'll come get you whenever you need to go on stage. She's really not even questioning it. She's just kind of like, huh? And nobody's explaining it to her. She feels like she's in such a daze. It's so weird being in her head. The way that she describes the stage and the setup in so much detail. Like, I don't care about the stage and the setup. Nothing's happening. She's just saying like, oh my God, it's a big, enormous stage with like all kinds of gadgets and whistles. And then she starts thinking about her dad again. And I'm just like, what is going on? She meets another guy who she immediately assumes is a roadie. Like, tears start streaming down her face because she's thinking about her dad. This guy approaches her and was like, it can't be all that bad. And she just turns to him and is like, my dad died today. And she starts unloading on him. And then he in return is like, my mom died too, and like starts unloading on her. I know that she's talking to a member of the band. She thinks she's talking to another roadie or whatever. And it was just such a weird dynamic. It was such a weird dynamic. I just don't like what's going on. Then, trigger warning for suicidal thoughts. She starts having suicidal thoughts. And then she course corrects and is like, well, if I'm contemplating suicide, then I might as well like live life to the fullest. Does anyone have a cigarette? Can't find a cigarette. So then she starts just accepting random drinks from strangers. And I would almost like it better if this felt like it was being intentionally destructive. But like I said, I feel like I'm in the mind of a character who is just in a stupor. And it feels so like foggy and weird. And I'm like, I don't even know what's going on with this character. I don't know where her headspace is. It's all over the place. And it's such a weird place to be. I'm trying to find the other line that I was just kind of like, I hate these types of things. Here it is. It's actually at the end of chapter 4, so I must actually be in chapter 5. It says, if I'd known that their beauty hid so much darkness, would I have run? If I'd known that they were broken, maybe more so than me, would I have climbed the steps to that bus? I have no way of answering that. Now, covered in the blood of their wounds, hindsight's 20/20 vision doesn't seem quite so clear. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't want to know what's a conflict that's going to be happening later on. So now we know, before she even talks to these guys like one-on-one, being like, oh, you're random people that I've met before during the course of the night, but now I know that you're the rock stars. We know that she's going to get on the tour bus with them because it just told me. And they haven't even met yet, like really met. And then we know that there's some destructive things happening. And now she's like covered in blood toward the end. I don't want to know that kind of detail going into a book. It like ruins the anticipation for me, personally, on a personal level. I don't like when authors do that. I mean, I'm pretty sure I just talked myself into DNFing this book. I really don't love the writing style, and I'm not connecting with the characters. It just feels too weird and hokey. I don't know what's going on. I think I'm going to switch to the audiobook for Muses and Melodies now. And maybe I was not planning on reading Just an Illusion because I don't like the narrator for that one, but maybe I will listen to the audiobook. And if not, if I really can't handle the audiobook, I'll probably read the ebook, but I'll keep you updated on what I decide to do. But I definitely don't want to waste this day. It's a good audiobook day for me. I'm going to start Muses and Melodies, which is the last book of the Hush Note series. I do know that the story revolves around Nixon, who's recently gone to rehab, and the band wants to make sure he's staying on the straight and narrow, and they kind of assign him a babysitter, or maybe his manager assigns him a babysitter. And I think it might be sort of like an enemies to lovers relationship. Once I know more, I'll be able to talk more about it. Okay, so another post. I've already finished the book reading update, but yesterday, Saturday, I kind of got in a groove of listening to Muses and Melodies. And it actually was so captivating that I didn't want to stop and update. I think it might be my favorite book of the vlog, which is amazing. She's a new to me author. I've never read Rebecca Yarros before, like I've said many times, and I just love the way that she wrote this character of Nixon. He was struggling with addiction, with alcoholism, because he's been through a trauma when he was younger, and I liked the exploration of Rebecca Yarros really keeps you in the dark about what exactly happened. We know it's something to do with his family. We know he had a terrible relationship with his father. And we just want to know what makes Nixon tick. And Zoe, who is the assistant to his manager, the band's manager, has been assigned to basically babysit him. And I love how he's always trying to shake his tail, and Zoe's the one tailing him. If she goes to take a shower, she's trying to do a really quick shower, he like leaves the apartment and she's forced to follow him, track him. He takes her to this yoga class called Namaste, and it's a goat yoga class, and it's just really funny. It's very playful and then very serious, and I really like that mix a lot. And also Zoe is just like the city where he's trying to recuperate. There's too many distractions. There was a mishap that happened again while she was taking a shower. He invited over some girls to the apartment and they were dancing. One of their bags tipped over and a little bottle of his favorite kind of vodka comes out because they're like, we know that this is your favorite brand and we brought it. He's the one to kick him out. He was very angry, I'm sure with himself for inviting in that temptation himself. It was no one's fault but Nixon, because he's the one that's trying to aggravate Zoe by making her job really hard. She really wants to help him. She has always loved music and she really loves the band. She's been a fan since before she started working with their manager, and she just wants what's best for him, but it's hard to help a person who is just being difficult. And she decides to take him to her hometown. And I think that this is why the series, Hush Note series, works well for me in general, because every single book, even in the first book, which was my least favorite of the series, they all visit their hometowns, and so you get away from that music. But of course, being that Nixon is the one struggling with temptation, later on we do bring them back on tour and see how Nixon handles that kind of thing. But I just love the dynamic between Nixon and Zoe. I love how refreshed he feels when he goes to her parents' house and he meets her siblings, and he just like does normal things and plays for a crowd at like a little fair that's going on, like with his acoustic guitar and stuff. And I just love seeing our characters just bond like this. And I thought it was phenomenal. There was a third act conflict. I thought that it fit very well into the story, and we do find out what's going on with Nixon. He does fuck up in some sort of way. I'm not going to tell you how, but I liked the resolution to it. I thought that it was handled very well. I thought it was very realistic, and I was just very impressed with this book. I gave it 5 stars. It was phenomenal. Like I said, I was like so engrossed with the audiobook that I just could not pause and update, because I was just like, what's gonna happen next? I love these characters. I laughed. My heart was breaking. It was just good. So yeah, I think that this is my favorite book so far of the vlog. But today I have a pretty packed schedule. I will be listening to another audiobook. I decided that since I needed an audiobook, I'm not going to listen to Just an Illusion. I can't stand the narrator. I can't do it. I don't have time to read an ebook. So I just picked a whole nother book. I had a list of like 12, before I started this vlog, I had a list of 12 Rockstar Romances that kind of intrigued me, and I picked 6 just kind of randomly. So I had a lot of options to choose from, and I ended up by going with Always You by Roxy Noir. And this is actually a best friends to lovers romance between 2 members of the band. So they've been friends for a long time, and something happens and brings them closer together. And so I've never read a Roxy Noir before. This is going to be another new to me author, but it just sounded good. I love friends to lovers romances when they're done right. I just felt in the mood for that. So fingers crossed that this one's really good. I know that I think that there was like a trigger warning that there is talk of like substance abuse and addiction and stuff like that. This is the second book in the Dirt Shine series, but it does say that it can be read as a standalone. I'm excited about it. All right, guys, it's time for the first and final reading update for Always You. I finished the audio today. I just got back home. I'm so tired. I'm about to go take a bath. Ollie is already getting comfortable, ready for bed, but I enjoyed this book so much. I thought it was a great friends to lovers romance, and it actually starts off with a lot of action, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this is happening. So Trent and Darcy are part of the same band, and their band has gone through some bad luck lately. They've lost their drummer. They kicked him out because of drugs and everything. And a lot of the band members are like recovering addicts. They're trying not to do that or anything. I love how Trent is realizing that he's having feelings for Darcy, and so is Darcy. And I love mutual pining. That's one of my catnips. They're performing, they're at a show. Trent sees this guy who's working on some aspect of the stage talking to Darcy, and it makes his blood boil. He's also like mishandling fireworks, which is a precursor to what's gonna happen. While they're performing on stage, Trent hears these fireworks going off. He doesn't recognize them as fireworks yet, but then he realizes that the same guy that he saw flirting with Darcy must have left some fireworks on stage, and something's gone terribly wrong. Well, Darcy actually gets hit by a firework and she is on fire, and Trent tackles her. It is heart pounding. I was like, oh my God, this book is starting off with the heroine being burned, and Trent just saved her. They take her to the hospital, and she does have some burns, but it's not severe or anything, and she doesn't need grafts. But Trent is the one that the doctor tasks with taking care of Darcy's burns, changing her bandage to make sure that there's no infection setting in. And Darcy's a little bit embarrassed, but Trent like wants to do it so badly. This is kind of the start of their forced proximity situation, because she has to take off her shirt and let him attend to her back and everything. And she's trying to push him away, saying like, oh no, it's fine, I can do it myself. And he's just like, I need to take care of you. So there is a caretaking aspect to it that is extremely sweet. It's a little bit of a slow burn at first, especially because Darcy does not want their relationship to change. She's afraid that she's going to lose Trent as a friend. There is a moment where it's like an almost kiss, and she kind of ruins it. And so we have a little bit of the book where she's just berating herself, saying that it could have been good, it could have been good, why am I so scared of this? So I really like the way that Roxy Noir explored their inner thoughts with the change in their relationship, because sometimes slow burns for friends to lovers can be a little bit frustrating for me, because I want them to get an equal amount of sexy times as a trope that involves enemies to lovers. I don't think that all friends to lovers needs to be slow burn, and she did deliver that. Ollie's like just gnawing on his baby right now. I don't know if you can hear him like snorting like a freaking buffalo. Hey, sir, I'm reviewing a book here. Yes, you put your head down. Anyway, I thought it was wonderful. I loved it a lot. Also, they carry their own baggage. Darcy's main baggage is that she was abandoned by her mom when she was little, and she went through the foster care system. That wasn't great for her. Trent was raised by an abusive father, and their mother didn't do anything about it. His younger brother is in jail and always calls him for money and stuff like that, and he's just struggling and trying to hold all the pieces together for the rest of his family that does remain. And it does play into the conflict toward the end. I did think that some careless things were said that I was just kind of like, how did this character not see that this is not the thing to say type of thing? So for that reason, I'm going to give this book 4.5 stars, because I thought it was very solid, but the conflict felt just a tad bit forced, because even if it was just a moment of, oh crap, I can't believe I said this thing, it was almost, I had to suspend my disbelief that this character would be so obtuse as to state something like that in a moment of the other character's grief. I don't want to spoil anything about the scene, but yeah, I was just kind of like, wow, you just put your foot in it. But anyway, I'm really excited about that. So I read quite a few new authors during this reading vlog, and I will definitely have to go check out some other Roxy Noir's backlist as well and see what else she's written. But yeah, okay, so I think my favorite out of this vlog is still Muses and Melodies. And a close second is Taut Strings by Gabrielle Sands. I thought that that was phenomenal. It's a debut novel. She killed it for a debut novel, especially a reverse harem debut novel. Thought she handled it very well. It's going on a list that I have for reverse harems now, for like my favorite reverse harems. Definitely. It has made it on there. I thought it was very well done. But most of the books that I read for this vlog were really good. The only one that really disappointed me, and I wasn't even very far in, was Groupie, because I really wanted to like it and I really wanted to read it, but I couldn't get past some issues that I was having with the writing style. I just was being too bothered by it, and I wasn't willing to push through to get to the point that maybe I would have been invested in the story or the characters, because I was afraid of getting into a book slump when finding the time to read is a little bit more difficult just because I'm stretched. So I was like, I'm not even gonna bother trying to push through, because sometimes when I try to do that, it takes me 3 or 4 days to read a book. So I wasn't willing to sacrifice that time. So maybe I'll jump back into Groupie and see if it was just some weirdness in the beginning or my mood or something. But I mean, I don't want to right now. I'm really glad that I did this vlog. It was a really great time reading a trope, a genre, subgenre. Would you consider this a trope? Not a trope. It's a subgenre, right? For romance that I don't normally read, because I did find some gems and also some new authors to love. I'm thinking about doing another one that I don't love, and I've gone on record multiple times saying that I don't love. Probably not this month, probably maybe next month, or maybe even November. I'm not sure. It just depends on when I feel like I'm not putting too much pressure on myself to complete vlogs like this, because I like doing it with a bunch of books, a big sample. Anyway, this vlog's gonna be kind of long, and I want to make sure that it's not too long. So I'm going to end it right there. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to get notified of any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, life's better with a little HEA. Bye guys!